We spoke to Taiwan's representative to the U.S., Ambassador Alexander Yui, about whether he believes the U.S. would back Taiwan.
First of all, thank you, Christina and David, for having me on your program. The U.S. administration has been very emphatic, during and after the trip for President Trump to Beijing, including President Trump himself, mentioned that there is no change in U.S. policy towards Taiwan, and so that's in itself it's a real reassurance to Taiwan. But at the same time, we are ready to defend ourselves. We're trying to beef up our own defensive capabilities, and the United States has been our primary provider of arms sales to Taiwan, and we hope that to continue to do so in facing this mounting and growing aggression from mainland China.
No doubt you heard the president talk about that $14 billion arms package as a bargaining chip. And I wonder what your reaction to that is, bearing in mind what you just said, that you've gotten votes of confidence from the administration, as you say. What should we make of the president saying it's something that could be deployed as a bargaining chip?
Well, I'll respect President Trump's decision. He also said, and the administration mentioned just yesterday, that a decision will be made by the president anytime soon. We hope that it will be a positive one. But again, the important thing is there's no change in U.S. policy towards Taiwan, and that includes longstanding arms sales to Taiwan, and especially commensurate with the threat level that Taiwan is receiving. And the threat level we're receiving from mainland China right now is very, very high.
I understand that there's no official change in policy, but it does seem that there's a change in energy and the vociferous nature by which previous presidents have defended Taiwan to the Chinese, and the kind of lukewarm defense, if that even was a defense the president delivered in Beijing. Do you feel like he delivered a strong enough message in those meetings with the Chinese leader?
Well, Xi Jinping, from what we know, Xi Jinping mentioned Taiwan a lot during his 2-day trip in Beijing. He wanted to make it the topic of discussion, although there are many, many things that should have been, it was on the table. And he talked about Chinese version of the Taiwan so-called problem, and I stress that Taiwan were not the problem. The problem is mainland China. They're the aggressors. They're the ones ramping all this military pressure on not just Taiwan but throughout the Indo-Pacific, including Japan, the Philippines, etc. So their ambitions go way beyond Taiwan. They're armed. They're engaging in this very massive military buildup, and it's just not for Taiwan. It's trying to impose their influence not only in the Pacific but beyond it in the Pacific. So we are well aware of China's intentions to try to swallow Taiwan. Again, we want to stress that Taiwan, the Republic of China, the official name of my country, we are not subject to the Chinese administration or control. The People's Republic of China have never been never controlled Taiwan. So the claim on Taiwan is something that is, it's a bogus claim, but they have this intention, and we'll do whatever it takes to defend it.
Christina mentioned the policy hasn't changed here, but I guess it stands to. There was this moment when the president indicated he might be calling Taiwan's president, having a conversation with Taiwan's president. Curious your reaction to that, what you think we should make of that, and if it does stand to upend a policy that's been in place now for many decades.
Well, we will see. I mean, there's not much I can say at this point, but we'll leave it to the United States to make any announcements. But again, the topic of discussion in Beijing, a lot of was on Taiwan. So I think that at that very high level, and I think that this discussion between the U.S. and Taiwan at that level, I think is reasonable. There's a lot at stake, not just the geopolitical issue that we just talked about, but also about technology. Taiwan is your fourth largest trading partner of the United States. We engaged in $256 billion worth of trade last year, but also the United States is looking for maintaining its supremacy on artificial intelligence. And as you know, Taiwan manufactures physically in Taiwan 95% of the advanced chips, semiconductors, but also our companies make 90% of the servers, the stacks, the servers that runs the AI industry. So So we've been working with the United States closely on these fields. We just signed an MOU on investment and an agreement on reciprocal trade earlier this year. So there's also mounting investments coming into the United States. 40% of our FDI is coming to the United States. And also we're working with the United States on other issues such as critical minerals, bringing more Taiwanese investments, manufacturing to the United States, which suits also United States effort for industrialization. So actually there's a lot between Taiwan and U.S. that we can talk about.
I do want to go back to that in a second, but I want to ask you first, you mentioned that the threat from China was increasing. Do you think that is particularly imminent? Do you have a timeline for that? And what evidence do you have to support that?
Well, there's been talk about 2027, the Davidson window, but because Xi Jinping had spoken to their People's Liberation Army some years ago that they should be prepared to invade Taiwan by this year of 2027. 2027 is the 100th anniversary of the founding of the People's Liberation Army. So there's sort of a symbolic, objective of aim to making that. But there have been preparing for that, actively. As I mentioned, they're massively having a military buildup, and they are under no threats in their borders, but they have been doing so. So their military capability has been enhanced, and they are getting more and more aggressive. Actually, right after President Trump's visit to Beijing and President Putin's visit, now they're amassing over 100 ships along, the Taiwan Straits and nearby in the area. Sort of again trying to impose this coercion, military coercions against Taiwan, but other neighbors as well. So that's part of their nature. Again, they keep so-called drawing red lines, but they keep moving the goalposts to their advantage to say, oh, if you cross the red line, I'm going to react. But they keep moving the goalposts, and that's making things very difficult. I want to stress that, U.S. and Taiwan, we're like-minded countries, and we have to work together along with other neighbors in the area to face this mounting aggression on mainland China. Again, we're friends. If you travel to Taiwan, you don't need a burner phone. You don't need to ditch all the things that they received in the country at a trash bin before you board a plane. We're value-wise like-minded.
I want to ask you lastly just about the state of the relationship and the U.S.'s posture towards friends, multilateral institutions, and going back to the clip that we played at the top of Bret Baier asking President Trump about the relationship. There was a lot of ambiguity in the president's response. And I'm curious, in light of the way this president pursues foreign policy, if there are more open questions than there have been in the past, and how that makes the situation more difficult, not knowing what the president's going to do, not having the kind of unequivocal statements that you might have gotten from presidents in the past.
Well, I mean, I think every president has his own specific style of conducting, business and statesmanship. But I want to stress this administration, as well as others, they've been repeating, affirming that there's no change in the position of the United States policy towards Taiwan. And actually, President Trump, during his first term and this current term, actually he has sold more arms to Taiwan than any other president. During his first term, he sold Taiwan $18 billion worth of weapons, and in this term so far, it's been over $11 billion. So
are you confident that next package will come through? Are you confident the president will approve that package?
Well, we're waiting, as most people are waiting for the announcement. But we hope and we are sure that having Taiwan strong in defense suits not only Taiwan's own interest in defending better itself, but also United States' interest to have peace and stability in the area. Again, nobody wants a war. United States coast is 9,500 miles away, but Guam is only 1,700 miles away from Taiwan. So again, any conflict in Taiwan will be devastating. It's not only for Taiwan, but also for world trade. 50% of world trade goes through the Taiwan Strait, and any conflict in the area will cause unsurmountable losses. Any losses has been estimated goes into the trillions.